Hey everybody, this one is for Living World, and it's for the adaptations of plants and animals. Now, I think, if I'm speaking to you in year 11, that you'll get a mock exam with this question. That's because the 2024 exam that just happened in the summer of 2024, the 9 marker was on this question. Okay, so it was a 9 marker on plant and animal adaptations in a certain ecosystem. Now, I taught you a few from the desert and from the rainforest. It's important that you know them. If I'm being honest with you, the fact that it was a 9 marker last year makes it less likely that it's only a 9 marker this year, but it still could happen. Okay. And what they might do is they might make it a 4 or a 6 marker this year instead. So it's best you prepare for it anyway. So first of all, animals and plants adapt. Why do they adapt? Well, they adapt to survive, basically. Plants and animals can't live in a certain ecosystem. They will die out. So the rainforest and desert are very, very different, and different plants and animals have adapted to the conditions that you find in each of those respective biomes to survive. For example, the desert. We know the desert is really, really hot most of the time in the daytime. We know that it's quite cold in the evenings because it's clear skies. We also know it is hot in the days, and it is sunny, and it is dry. So therefore, plants and animals have had to adapt to the hot, dry conditions the desert brings with it. You can't have animals that require lots and lots and lots of water living in the desert. They used to, and they would die out. The animals that still live there, that have survived there, are ones that can survive and adapt to the less water that you get in a desert condition. For example, let's take the camel. You find camels in the desert. They are known as the unofficial ships of the desert. How people get around the desert, how people used to get around the desert back in the day, and still do. Now, how have they adapted? Well, a camel's adapted in many different ways. First of all, it has really long eyelashes, and that stops the sand from getting in there. Okay? They also have fur, hair on their feet because the sand is hot, and that means that they won't burn themselves effectively. Also, they have humps. Now, the humps of a camel, as I'm sure you know by now, are not full of water. They are full of fat because they can use that fat for energy. Why do they do that? Well, ultimately, there's not much food around, is there? There's not many animals to eat in the desert. It's not very well populated with lots of different animals or plants. Therefore, the camel has had to adapt and can use the fat stored in its hump for when there's less food around. Okay, but also, in terms of water, the camel can survive longer than other animals without water. You've also got the Arctic fox, which has, desert fox, which has light fur to reflect the sun's light even more. Again, you have the hair on the hands and feet. That's quite a common one. Different animals adapt in different ways. What about plants? Well, obviously, the main one is plants need water, and the desert hasn't got much rain. So you only find plants that tend to survive in dry conditions. For example, cacti. Yeah? So they survive in the desert because they don't need that much water to survive. They store water in them anyway. So they are a cactus plant, store water in the middle because that's for when they need water and they haven't got any because there's no rain. Also, they have a thick, waxy layer, which means that evapotranspiration, water loss, is less. And they have no leaves. They have thin points you may have seen on a cactus before. This reduces the amount of water lost off them through evaporation of the leaf transpiration too. And they also have those spikes, which, as I'm sure you've worked out, protect them from predators. So, obviously, there's water in the cactus, and they can't afford for an animal to come and rip it open. Therefore, it's adapted by having these spikes to protect it. So there's some good examples. It's good to have at least one plant, at least one animal for each biome. So camel and cactus are the ones to use for desert. In terms of rainforest, there's loads. The sloth has the claw so it can hang in the tree. The sloth has camouflage fur so it can hang and be safe from predators. in the trees, of course. They're slow moving, so they don't draw attention to themselves. Another animal, the frog, the poison dart frog, is bright coloured. Not camouflage, bright colour. But that bright colour has helped us to survive because it means that predators are scared to eat it. You've also got, in terms of plants, trees with emergent trees. So they can emerge and compete for the sunlight. There's not much of it, don't forget, because there's lots of clouds. But there is some. So they compete by emerging through. Also, what trees need is water from the soil and lots of nutrients from the soil. In a rainforest, there isn't very many nutrients because so many plants are taking them up. So what do you have? Buttress roots. So plants get really long roots that go into the soil, deeper and deeper, further down, to be more wide-reaching. Think of it as having really long arms to reach the nutrients down below in the soil. And another one I taught you was about drip-tip leaves. So what this means is because, unlike the desert, there's lots of rain in the rainforest, water can get caught up on leaves and it can linger there, and algae can grow and block out photosynthesis. A plant needs the sun's energy to grow, therefore the drip tip leaves have a bit of a curvature at the end, which means the water flows onto them and then flows straight off, so it can't gather there and algae can't grow. So that way it means that not only can the leaf get more photosynthesis, but the rain is able to go straight through to the roots where it needs to be. So there's many different ways you can look at this. Plants, animals in both biomes that you study. You don't really need to know it for small scale ecosystem deciduous woodland. So know about the camel, know about the cactus, know about the sloth or the frog, and know about the emergent trees and buttress roots. And that will give you enough ammunition for a really good 4, 6, or even if they do it, 9 mark answer. Okay? Now coming up in the next few days, I'll do some videos on the Thar Desert specifically and the Amazon rainforest specifically as case studies. And then I hope to get through to coasts and rivers, because I imagine you're doing coasts now. If you are watching this when it just comes out. If not, I hope you're doing well, guys, and I'll see you soon for the next one. Take care.